So you're paying your water bill every month, and maybe you've noticed it creeping up a little, or maybe it jumped pretty significantly and you can't figure out why. Nobody's taking longer showers. You haven't been filling a pool. Something doesn't add up. Well, here's the thing. The average household leak wastes nearly 10,000 gallons of water every single year. That's real money draining out of your house, sometimes literally into the ground where you can't even see it. Tonight, I'm going to show you exactly how to read your water meter and use it to detect hidden leaks anywhere in your plumbing system. No special tools, no cost, just about 30 minutes of your time. And if you stick around to the end, I'll share a trick for catching those slow, sneaky leaks that most homeowners miss completely. Let's get into it. Learning to read your water meter is honestly one of the most valuable skills a homeowner can pick up. It costs you nothing, takes almost no time, and it can save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars before a small leak turns into a big problem. The best part is you don't need any plumbing experience to do this. So let's start with the very first thing, finding where your meter actually is. Now, if you've never looked for your water meter before, don't worry. Most people haven't. In the majority of homes across the country, your water meter is located near the street or the edge of your property, usually buried in a small rectangular box set into the ground. You're looking for a concrete, plastic, or cast iron lid that's roughly 12 to 18 inches long. It might say water or water meter on top, but sometimes it's just a plain lid that blends right into the grass or sidewalk. To open it, you might be able to just pry it up with your fingers. But a lot of these lids are heavy or stuck from years of dirt and corrosion, so I'd recommend grabbing a large flathead screwdriver or a pair of channel locks to hook the edge and lift it up. Some of the older cast iron lids have a small notch or hole specifically for this. Just be careful when you lift. I've seen more than a few spiders and even the occasional snake hanging out in meter boxes, so take a peek before you go reaching in there. Once you've got the lid off, you'll see the meter sitting inside the box, usually with a smaller protective cap or cover over the dial face. Flip that open and you're looking at the meter itself. Now, in some colder climates, your meter might actually be inside your house, usually in the basement near where the main water line enters the building. If you're in an apartment or condo, it could be in a utility closet or mechanical room. Either way, you need to find it and get eyes on the dial before we go any further. One more thing. While you're down there, take a look at your main shutoff valve. It's usually right next to the meter or just inside where the water line enters your house. Locate it now so you know where it is later. You'll need it for the isolation test we're going to do in a few minutes. It's either a gate valve, which looks like a round wheel you turn, or a ball valve, which is a lever you flip a quarter turn. Ball valves are more reliable in my experience. And if you've got an old gate valve that hasn't been turned in 15 years, just be gentle with it. Forcing it can cause its own set of problems. All right, now that you've found your meter, let's talk about how to actually read the thing. This is where most people get a little confused, but I promise it's simpler than it looks. There are two main types of water meters you'll run into. The first is an analog meter, which has a round dial face that looks kind of like a clock. The second is a digital meter, which shows a numerical readout, kind of like an odometer in your car. Let's cover both. On an analog meter, you'll see a large sweep hand. That's the big needle that moves around the face. This hand measures water flow in real time. One full revolution of that sweep hand typically equals 1 cubic foot of water, which is about 7.5 gallons. Around the outside edge, you'll see markings that break each revolution into tenths. So as water flows through the meter, that hand sweeps around, and each small tick represents roughly 3/4 of a gallon. Here's the important part for our leak test. Most analog meters also have a small triangle or star-shaped indicator, usually red or blue, somewhere on the dial face. This is your low flow indicator, and it's your best friend tonight. That little triangle is designed to spin even when water is moving through the meter at a very low rate. We're talking as little as a quarter gallon per minute. So even a slow drip from a toilet flapper can make that thing spin. Remember where it is because we're going to use it. On a digital meter, you'll usually see a numerical readout showing your total water consumption. Some digital meters have a backlight that activates when you shine a flashlight on them. There's a small solar cell on the face. If your display is blank, just hold a flashlight over it for a few seconds and it should wake up. Digital meters often cycle between different screens, one showing total usage, one showing flow rate, and sometimes one showing a leak alert icon. If yours has a flow rate screen, that's going to make this test even easier. Regardless of which type you have, go ahead and write down the current reading right now. Every number, including any decimal places. You're going to need this for comparison later. I usually just snap a photo with my phone, so there's no question about what I saw. By the way, if you are finding this helpful, you should know this is just a taste of what I have put into my book. 50 Easy Plumbing Fixes That Will Save You $10,000. It covers everything from leaky faucets to running toilets, step by step with diagrams. You can grab your copy by scanning the QR code on screen right now, or just use the first link in the description below. All right, let us keep going. Now here's where it gets good. We're going to run the actual leak detection test, and it's dead simple. What you're going to do is make sure every single water-using fixture and appliance in your house is completely off. And I mean everything. Faucets, showers, dishwasher, washing machine, ice maker in the fridge, irrigation system, water softener, all of it. If it uses water, shut it down. Don't flush any toilets. Tell everyone in the house to leave the water alone for the next 30 minutes. Once everything is off, go back out to your meter. If you have an analog meter, look at that low flow indicator, that little triangle I mentioned. Is it moving? If no water is being used anywhere in your house and that triangle is spinning, you have a leak somewhere. Period. Even if it's barely moving, even if it's twitching just slightly, that means water is flowing through the meter when it shouldn't be. If you have a digital meter, check the flow rate screen. It should read 0. If it's showing any flow at all, you've got a leak. Now here's the more thorough version of this test for catching really slow leaks. Write down your meter reading, or take a photo, with everything off. Then walk away. Don't use any water in the house for at least 30 minutes. An hour is even better if you can manage it, and overnight is ideal. Come back and check the meter reading again. If the numbers have changed at all, water moved through that meter while nothing was supposed to be running. That confirms a leak. I had a customer a couple of years back who did this test overnight and found that her meter had registered almost 4 cubic feet of water usage between 11 at night and 6 in the morning. That's roughly 30 gallons while everyone was sleeping. Turned out to be a toilet flapper that was slowly leaking into the bowl. Completely silent, completely invisible, unless you knew to look for it. Okay, so let's say your test came back positive. The triangle was moving, or your reading changed. Now we need to figure out whether the leak is inside your house or somewhere in the supply line between the meter and the house. This step is really important because it tells you whether this is something you can probably fix yourself or whether you're dealing with an underground line issue. Here's what you do. Go to your main shutoff valve, the one I told you to locate earlier, and close it all the way. This shuts off water to your entire house, but leaves the line between the meter and the shutoff still pressurized. Now go back to the meter and check the low flow indicator again, or take a new reading. If the triangle stops spinning after you shut off the main valve, that means the leak is inside your house, downstream of that shutoff. That's actually the better scenario, because it means the leak is in a fixture, a toilet, a supply line, a faucet, or an appliance, things you can usually get to and fix. But if the triangle keeps spinning, even with the main valve closed, that tells you the leak is in the supply line between the meter and your house. That's the pipe running underground through your yard. This is a bigger deal and typically means you're looking at hiring a plumber, because underground line repairs involve excavation and specialized equipment. But at least now you know exactly where to focus, and you can tell the plumber what you've already tested. That saves time and money right off the bat. One thing to keep in mind, if you have an older gate valve as your main shutoff, it might not seal completely. These valves deteriorate over time and can allow a small amount of water to pass through even when fully closed. So if you're getting ambiguous results, consider that the valve itself might not be giving you a clean shutoff. A ball valve will give you a much more definitive result. Now, assuming the leak is inside your house, let's track it down. The three most common sources of hidden leaks in a home are toilets, faucet supply lines, and water heater connections. Let's check each one. Start with your toilets, because they are the #1 culprit for hidden leaks in residential plumbing. A leaking toilet flapper can waste 200 gallons a day, and you might never hear it. Here's the test. Take the lid off the tank and add about 10 drops of food coloring or a dye tablet into the tank water. Don't flush. Wait 15 to 20 minutes and then check the bowl. If colored water has appeared in the bowl, your flapper is leaking and needs to be replaced. Do this for every toilet in the house. Flappers cost about $4 to $8 and take roughly 10 minutes to replace. So this is a very easy fix. While you're at each toilet, get down on the floor and feel around the base. Run your hand along the supply line connection, where the braided hose meets the fill valve at the bottom of the tank and where it connects to the shutoff valve at the wall. Feel for any moisture. Even a tiny amount of dampness here means you've got a slow leak that will only get worse. Next, check under every sink in the house. Open the cabinet doors and look for any signs of water damage, warping, staining, mold, or that musty smell. Feel the supply line connections and the P-trap joints. Look at the base of the faucet where it meets the sink deck. Slow leaks under sinks can go undetected for months because nobody's looking under there regularly. Then check your water heater. Look at the supply connections on top, the drain valve at the bottom, and the temperature and pressure relief valve, usually on the side with a small discharge pipe running down. Any corrosion, mineral buildup, or water staining around these connections is a red flag. Also look at the floor around and under the water heater. If you see any standing water or staining, that's a problem that needs attention now, not later. Don't forget about your washing machine hoses. Those rubber supply hoses are under constant pressure and they deteriorate from the inside out. If yours are more than 5 years old and they're the basic rubber kind, I'd recommend swapping them for braided stainless steel hoses. It's cheap insurance against a burst hose, which can dump hundreds of gallons into your house in a matter of hours. Let's go over some issues you might run into while doing this test and how to deal with them. First, your meter lid is stuck or rusted shut. This is really common, especially on older cast iron lids. Try working a flathead screwdriver around the entire perimeter to break the seal of dirt and corrosion. A little penetrating oil around the edges can help. If it still won't budge, your water utility can open it for you, usually at no charge. Second, your meter reading seems to fluctuate slightly, even with everything off. But the low flow indicator isn't spinning. Small fluctuations in the digital readout can be caused by pressure changes in the municipal supply line. If the low flow indicator is still and the numbers aren't steadily climbing, you're probably fine. Take an extended reading over a few hours to be sure. Third, you found a leak, but you can't pinpoint exactly where it is. If you've checked all the visible fixtures and supply lines and still can't find it, the leak might be in a pipe running inside a wall or under the slab. At this point, a plumber with a leak detection setup, usually an acoustic listening device or a thermal camera, can pinpoint it without tearing anything apart. It's worth the service call because finding it early is always cheaper than finding it after the damage shows up. Fourth, your main shutoff valve won't fully close. Like I mentioned, old gate valves are notorious for this. Don't force it. You can break the stem or crack the valve body. Instead, use the meter side shutoff, which is usually right at the meter box. You might need a meter key, which is a T-shaped tool you can pick up at any hardware store for about $10 to $15. That valve will give you a complete shutoff so you can get a cleaner test result. Fifth, you're on a well system and don't have a traditional water meter. You can still do a version of this test. Turn off everything in the house, then go watch your pressure tank and pressure switch. If the pump kicks on periodically when no water is being used, you have a leak. You can also install an inline flow meter on your main line for about $30 to $50, which gives you the same capability. All right, here's that bonus tip I promised you at the beginning. Once you've done this leak test and confirmed everything is tight, I want you to start tracking your water usage on a monthly basis. Write down your meter reading on the same day every month. The first of the month works great. Keep a simple log, even just on a piece of paper taped inside a kitchen cabinet. Over time, you'll establish a baseline for what your household normally uses. Then, if a leak develops 3 months from now or 6 months from now, you'll catch it immediately because the numbers will jump. You won't need to wait for a surprise bill. I've been telling my customers to do this for over 20 years, and the ones who actually keep the log have caught leaks within days of them starting. One gentleman caught a slab leak so early that the repair cost him about $800. His neighbor had the same kind of leak, didn't catch it for 4 months, and ended up spending over $5,000 plus mold remediation. 30 seconds a month to write down a number can save you thousands. That's about the best return on investment you'll find anywhere in home maintenance. That wraps it up. If this was useful, you will love the full book. 50 step-by-step plumbing fixes with diagrams, all in one guide. Link is below. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next video. Thanks for watching.